Hi dear subscribers, most watch me without a subscription, support my channel with a subscription, and I will make you happy with new story. Story 1, I fell in love with my good friend's wife. I fell in love with my good friend's wife. I have fallen in love with my good friend's wife. A few weeks ago her and I got together for a few beers and just to catch up after it was obvious I was avoiding her. I hadn't seen both of them in a while, mostly on my part because I felt I was becoming too comfortable with her. She really is damn near perfect. Kind, empathetic, intelligent, really the list could go on for paragraphs. Once I noticed I started to catch feelings, I instantly made a point to never be around her unless my friend was around. She reached out and I always said, ask your husband and I'll schedule with him. I tried hard to make sure these boundaries were up. I get a message from him a week or so ago that says she wanted to have a few beers and talk to me about a surprise she needed my help with. The only reason I agreed to meet up was because he messaged me. She asked me why I went MIA and I sort of lied and said I have been busy. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, I know you are lying. I wasn't sure how to respond, so I didn't. Because she was right. She pushed past the silence and asked me to at least start coming back around the house for barbecue Sundays. I said maybe. At the end of the night, she told me that she was sorry. I felt like I needed to shield myself from them because of whatever was going on with me. I cannot stop thinking about her, and even after the dozens and dozens of messages she sends me, I never respond. I know their marriage is falling apart, but I want my friend to know I genuinely care about him and want him to be okay. But at the same time, when I close my eyes to sleep at night, her face haunts me. I will never let him know, nor would I ever admit it to his face, because I value our friendship that much. I don't think I have ever felt too guilty about being emotionally invested in someone, but I am going to let the guilt eat my alive or until my feelings for her die out. They both are guilty of not treating each other properly, but in the end, I know I'll shove what I feel for her deep down and lock it away. I don't want to stop being friends with him, but at the same time, seeing her in front of me all the time is torture. I must have really pissed someone off in my past life for them to have me fall in love with someone but never have a chance. Even now, as I think about everything, I find myself thinking about her and those tiny things that make her wonderful, but those tiny things aren't for me to admire. They are his. Maybe I'll just buy a dog or something. Updated information. I realized how much info my post lacked. Partly because I was beside myself as I was typing it out. I didn't really know how stressful something like this was until I tried to type it up. First, I met her at the same friend outing as my best friend did. We were all friends before anyone dated each other. So yes, I had already formed a friendship with her prior to all this, hence why I know it's not infatuation. I am 33 now, so it's been about 7 years since I have known her and 12 since I have known my best friend. Once they became a couple, 3 years into knowing each other, her and I no longer hang out as much, which was my decision because I felt like it was disrespectful to my best friend. Second, I have zero desire to want to be with her. I have far too much respect for not only myself, but my best friend. I could never in my life imagine going after her. And the fact some of y'all think it could be on the table shows how much respect for people you don't have. Third, I don't need to get myself a new woman. I generally have zero interest in being with anyone. I tend to work 7 days a week at a minimum of 10 hours a day, so dating isn't something I can fit in, especially if I want to maintain healthy relationships with my friends. My ex-wife and I have been divorced for a few years, and I am not interested in being the reason why my best friend and his wife divorce after having someone do that to me. I feel there is a special place in hell for homewreckers. Fourth, therapy. I love therapy, and I am a huge advocate for therapy. I haven't got any major disorder or anything like that. Honestly, I almost wish I did. The only thing wrong with me is that I am habitually shy and avoid confrontation at all costs by just removing myself from the situation. This time, however, I cannot. I care too much about my friendships that I have had for all these years. And finally, to put into perspective how close our friend group was before the dating and marriage followed. Each of us have basically spare rooms in each other's houses. Like fully stocked with our personal belongs. We made the TV show Friends look like they were just acquaintances. We had been there for each other's passing of family members and other loved ones. We have seen each other's amazing ups and heartbreaking downs. Small town friends? We are built differently. We have morals and standards that go hand in hand. We have a solid circle of 7 of us. We make shared Google Docs that get updated weekly to reflect how we are looking for outings, restaurant visits, vacations, and road trips. It was our own little family because most of us have lost a large portion of our families. That's why this is hard. Because I feel like I lost my second family over feelings for someone who is not mine nor ever will be. I don't want her like that. I want the feelings to go away so I can get back to my friends and back to enjoying my barbecue and beer on a Sunday. Update 5 days later. Update, I fell in love with my good friend's wife. I attended the barbecue with a lady friend of mine who I have gotten closer to in recent weeks. It's absolutely nothing serious, but made things go smooth at the barbecue. My friend said he was sorry he asked his wife to essentially ask why I was always gone. He figured I was mad at him and wanted to see why. I just reiterated I was in fact really busy right now. I also don't believe the wife knows. I know some people thought she might, but I do actually think she does, which is good, because me being a rebound option will never happen. No, I never told him why, nor will I ever. Again, I want him and his wife to work out. I know deep down they still love each other. I then informed the group of friends that I took a job 1,900 miles away and would be relocating at the start of March. They were all really upset I kept it from them. They figured something was off when I took myself from our shared Google Sheets. At the end of the day, I have far too much respect and love for my friends to ever act on anything. They could divorce today and I would never act on it. My loyalty is with my best friend. It definitely sucks that it happened this way, and my friends are a little confused because I'm taking a job that is not as good or a job as the one I have now to relocate to a state that is pretty bad TBH. But I figured I could use a state that actually have 4 seasons anyway. But now that they think it is solely because of a job offer I was just dying to have, I feel a lot better. Welp, I guess that's it. Thanks for all the advice and wise words. One final note, I thought I needed therapy, still attending weekly for me. Some of y'all need therapy. The audacity of y'all to just say fuck it and go for it. Absolutely repugnant. Have some standards, yeah? Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, thank you. Story 2 AITA for putting medical fees on my mom's credit card? New update. I'll try to keep this snappy. CW for dental stuff. Throwaway, cause I know some family are on here. I, F25, was given temporary guardianship of my baby sister, F15, for 6 weeks in the fall while my parents, M48 F46, had to be overseas for several reasons. Our parents left me with mom's car and keys as well as her credit card for any expenses I might run into. On the first day that she stayed with me, my sister told me she had been having really bad tooth pain for a few weeks now. She was chewing only on one side of her mouth and sort of hesitant to eat. I told her I'd set her up a dentist appointment, and I did make her one for later in the week, but the next day she had a fever and her face looked somewhat swollen on that side, plus she said her pain was much worse. I called the dentist again and they were able to see her that day. It ended up being an infected abscess. We needed to pull the tooth, drain the abscess, and get her antibiotics. My parents' insurance covered a lot of it. I wasn't sure what to do about the rest, and my parents weren't answering the phone all day due to time zone difference. I just put down mom's credit card for the amount that needed to be covered right then, as well as to pay for the antibiotic prescription when I picked it up. I didn't think much of this at the time, but when my parents found out, they were pissed. Dad said the credit card was for standard everyday expenses like food and gas, not emergency funds. They didn't specify this before nor provide separate money for emergencies, and that I overstepped my bounds by dropping a large sum of money on such a rash and expensive choice that mom was going to have to pay off. I offered to pay it back. It's technically within my means, and he said forget it, it's too late now due to my impulsivity. Mom also made an offhand comment about how I didn't triple check to make sure my sister actually needed medical attention rather than trying to get out of school. This was a while ago, so I thought it was behind us. My parents told me we weren't gathering for the holidays this winter, and I found out yesterday from my sister that a bunch of family had visited and my parents hosted, so I'm sure they're more upset than I thought. My take is that I made the necessary decision for my sister's well-being and I don't regret it, but I could have done more to make sure I handled it in a more appropriate way financially and maybe waited to go through with anything until we could get in touch. However, I offered to reimburse and was turned down. As the acting legal guardian at that time, it seemed urgent. I was worried about my little sister and the treatment needed to be paid for. Aita? Relevant comments. Many people point out how dangerous abscesses are and are baffled as to why the parents are angry. Our parents are all right, but they tend to be weird about medical stuff. They don't usually believe us or act like we're making it out to be worse than it really is. I can count on one hand the number of times I went to the dentist before moving out, and I've helped my sister access treatment when our parents wouldn't on several occasions, but nothing like this before. Assuming their stance hasn't changed, they said that I should have waited to take her in until I got in touch with them and talked out payment options. They were insistent that the problem was how I paid. They just also made multiple comments about being impulsive or not believing her right away. I get that maybe it fucked with their credit, but I thought we had established payment before they even left. Someone replies that that would not mess with their credit. Oh. I've never had a credit card, so I really don't know how these things work. I honestly thought I could have messed something up financially without realizing. Logically, I know it's not right, but it's so hard to look at my mom and all my lived experience with her and label her as abusive. I know it's true. And my sister shouldn't have to go through it. I'm going to stop this. Another commenter points out the parents could be pissed because they ignored Sis's complaints earlier. Knowing my parents, I think you're probably right, but knowing my sister, I think there's a solid chance she didn't even bother telling them because she knew I was going to be her temporary guardian soon. I've had to help her get antibiotics for UTIs and stuff before. They're good parents in literally every other aspect, but this is a real and serious issue I have with the way they raised us. OOP clarifies that Sis never told them later in the comments. Texting with my sister, she says she didn't bother telling our parents about her toothache because she knew they'd blow it off and I was about to be her guardian for a bit anyway. So the first they heard of it was when they called me when they woke up and I told them she had dental surgery done. Having grown up with the same parents, she was definitely right. I probably could have convinced them to take her if she had told me sooner, but, well, she's a lot like I was at her age. Have parents excluded OOP in the past? Is it a pattern? Not really. I mean, they've never excluded me from events like this before. We've had a few minor issues historically where they wouldn't pay for things for me that my other siblings got, snacks in the house, gas/going out money as a teen, that sort of thing, but nothing huge at all. They're touchy about medical stuff. My mom has some childhood trauma associated with factitious disorders in people around her, which doesn't make it okay but kinda makes sense of it. The more OOP reads and comments, the more she realizes how scary the situation could have been. I know that infections are super serious, but I didn't realize just how little time we likely had at that point. Jesus. Fuck, that puts some things in perspective. I know I'm not even that much older, but my little sister is my baby. Thinking about what could have happened is making me cry WTF. I already knew I did the right thing, but I didn't really realize how messed up it is that they're splitting hairs about which card paid for it. What the fuck? The part of me that wants to protect my sister at all costs says you're absolutely correct. The much smaller part of me that was raised by them also says you're 100% correct, but it's so hard to wrap my brain around this idea of my parents as, like, bad people because I do really love them. Most of my childhood was happy. I know you're right, and my sister has my full care and support, but also this fucking sucks. OOP is voted NTA. Update, same post, January 3rd, 2023. Edit January 3rd, 23, sort of an update, I guess. The other night, I talked to my sister a bit about what happened, and she said Mom and Dad didn't tell her they weren't inviting me to Christmas. When she asked where I was on Christmas morning, my dad told her I wasn't able to make it. She knew that was bullshit because I'd have told her for sure if something came up, and when she got a chance to talk away from all the visiting family, she let me know what was up. After we called, she apparently got pretty worked up and decided to confront our parents about not inviting me, and pressed really hard on the subject of the credit card, and that they're still mad that I kept her from dying while I was her guardian. Mom started crying, Dad started yelling at Mom that it's her fault her daughters are like this, sister told Dad to shut the fuck up and don't talk about me like I'm not here, Dad backhanded sister. She told me, and I obviously called CPS, some other stuff happened I won't even get into, and now my sister is at my apartment. My dad has an order from law enforcement not to be on the same property as her for at least a week. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I haven't heard from my mom except to let me know where she and Dad are staying, separate from each other, in case anything happens. My sister told me the weeks I was her guardian were the easiest 6 weeks of her life. I told her I'm sorry I didn't step in sooner, we cried a lot, and I let her stay up late to play WoW with me and make mini cheesecakes. I'll post an update if anything happens, but I think she and I are gonna be okay. New update, January 12th, 2023. Hi everyone! I wasn't going to update, but some people reached out and pointed me to where this got shared, and I saw a lot of concern for my sister's well-being, so I thought I might as well. This is going to be pretty disorganized because life is crazy at the moment and I'm sick on top of that, but I'll try to be responsive in the comments if anyone sees this. I'm typing this out late at night when I can't sleep because that's pretty much the only time I have anymore, and I'm so exhausted I'm not even going to bother parsing the requirements to post this on AITA proper. So, my mom was a SOM until I was 12 and now works as a teacher of sorts, and my dad has a well-established career where he makes pretty good money. Apparently over the years my mom has had to foot the bill for all things parenthood and has accrued wild amounts of credit debt in order to make ends meet and keep up appearances for gifting holidays and that sort of thing. I've talked to my mom, she's agreed that she has a lot to work on and she's not fit to parent. I'm not ready to forgive her or anything, but I understand why she's like this, and I respect that she's going to try to change. I'm going to try to help her as I learn about financial literacy myself. And without getting too much into it, Dad can pry custody from my cold dead hands. My sister gets along great with my boyfriend, and she seems pretty happy here. We've always bonded over baking, and neither of us were ever allowed to learn to cook before, so I now get to teach her all the recipes I've accumulated over the years. So far all we've made is my favorite pasta sauce from scratch, but she's shaping up to be a natural. Maybe not as informative as people would like my update to be, but I just wanted to make it clear that I'm taking care of her and I don't plan on letting that change anytime soon. A few points that I saw people bring up. I used to throw away cause I know my brother and some cousins have read it and I don't want them to find my personal account, that shit's private. Not because I thought nobody IRL would recognize my story. I'm not an idiot. To clarify the timeline a bit, I posted an update the next day because I talked to my sister a bit for her perspective before making the original post. Thinking about it made her angry, so she decided to confront our parents once we were done talking. It escalated fast and I got a call in the middle of the night to come get her. I honestly am pretty surprised anyone cares about the timing. I guess it seemed natural to me because it happened in real time in my life. The mention of UTIs sparked some concern that there may have been sexual abuse, so I wanted to address that. I never experienced any, and my sister says she hasn't. I believe her. I and many other women in the family have endometriosis, which can cause frequent UTIs, and it's likely she's the same way. I only have 2 siblings, and the other one is my 20-year-old brother who is in another country for school, hence why I didn't mention him. He did get a bit of golden child type treatment, but was definitely still medically neglected. He's a great guy who is also helping to support our sister however he can, but he's not as financially stable as me due to being 20. Thank you so much to everyone who reached out with advice for becoming financially literate. I kinda have a lot on my plate right now, but that's definitely next on the agenda after settling custody and looking for therapy for both of us. For those who are curious, I'm playing a Blood Death Knight and she's Restoration Druid. We basically play WoW as if it was an open-world RPG with local co-op, no guilds or raids or anything. Because a few people were interested, the mini cheesecake recipe was the Williams Sonoma Strawberry Mini Cheesecakes one. It was pretty good, but I always think food is better when I'm freaking the fuck out, so maybe they're not good. We 100% did not cool them for long enough, but who cares, it was a crisis. Thank you again to everyone who shared their concern, support, and advice. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, thank you.